Hello, everyone, and welcome. What is mind and what are its intricacies? Well, let's first define few words before we get into the esoterics of mind. There is a lot of confusion in the spiritual circles about the usage of these some important words. So it is good to clarify them. What is awareness? Awareness is the one that is aware, but without the status of an awarer or a knower. Awareness is pure, meaning dimensionless, propertyless. It is infinite and it is at rest. It cannot move, cannot talk, it simply is. Awareness knows, but it does not know itself as something. According to Vedanta, whatever you can imagine and be aware of is not awareness. Awareness is I. What is consciousness? Consciousness is awareness in an apparent moment. It is awareness seemingly enclosed. We may call this a soul. It is a reflection of awareness. Consciousness is that by which I know that I am, or simply, consciousness is I am. Consciousness is awareness that knows, feels itself as something which is still impersonal. So, awareness and consciousness are fundamentally one and the same. These two words are used synonymously. What is thought? Thought or imagination is the focusing of consciousness upon anything other than itself. Thought equals consciousness plus object. What is mind? Mind is the shape, activity, or modulation that consciousness seemingly takes to experience a finite world. Mind equals consciousness localized. Mind equals ego, the first or the root thought, plus other thoughts of other objects. Mind equals consciousness plus subtle body plus object. What is an ego? Ego is the mind under the spell of ignorance. Ego is not you, it is an idea of you. Ego equals consciousness plus subtle body. Ego is I am this. And what is experience? Experience equals consciousness plus mind. Experience just happens in the presence of awareness. Experience is knowing God in relative terms. Well, with this background, let us shift our focus to mind. All we have in life is matter, mind, and awareness or consciousness. Mind is also matter, a subtle matter. Both are inert, jada in Sanskrit, by nature. However, mind can reflect and manifest consciousness unlike matter. That's the main difference. Mind is in between matter and consciousness. To understand the relationship between consciousness and mind, here is an analogy. The mind is charged with consciousness as a copper wire is charged with electricity. The wire becomes live when it allows the movement of electricity or electrical energy through it. Likewise, the mind becomes live and one says the mind moves. The mind knows in the same way as a wire is to electricity. The electricity is not wire. Even so, consciousness is not mind. Yet, when one touches the wire, one receives a shock because the force and the medium cannot be separated from each other. In the same way, we may say the mind is consciousness. It is not consciousness in one way and it is consciousness in another way. Mind seemingly knows. Ultimate reality or Brahman is defined by Upanishads as existence, consciousness, infinity, or Ananda. Existence, consciousness, infinity, or Ananda. Matter, a stone for example, can only manifest the existence aspect. Mind, like a common man, can manifest both the existence aspect and the consciousness aspect. And an enlightened being or a sage can manifest existence, consciousness, and the Ananda aspect as well, all together. That's the difference. Ananda, peace, happiness, completeness is our nature. Mind is basically a thought, all thoughts. If individuals in a gathering are thoughts, mind is called the crowd. That's a good example of understanding mind versus thought. So mind is thought which is inert in itself because a thought is known. One thought can never know another thought since they are separate or discontinuous. Only one thought appears at one time. Mind is called Antahkarana in Sanskrit, meaning an internal instrument of subtle nature. It is an inert reflector or conductor of consciousness. So, mind is a thought that seemingly knows an object. The thought which thinks that it is knowing is simply another inert thought in succession. In Advaita Vedantic understanding, there are 4 dimensions or categories or to thought or mind in its function. These dimensions of thought, mind are known as ego, ahamkara, reasoning and determining faculty, buddhi, which is self-consciousness, higher mind, working mind, or impersonal mind. Then lower mind or intellect, manas, and memory called chitta or chittam. So, ahankara, buddhi, manas, and memory, chittam. It is important to note that these are not divisions of mind, but functions. The mind is called with 4 different names depending on the function it performs. In English language, everything comes under one banner called mind. Antahkarana is a reflecting medium for pure awareness. Pure awareness cannot take part. The reflected awareness that can take part in an individual is called Chidabhasa. Buddhi, which is knower or pramata. Ahankara, which is doer or karta. And manas, which is feeler or bhokta, are called the 3 centers. Buddhi, ahankara, and manas. They are called the 3 centers of Antahkarana and belong to subtle body. Chitta or memory resides in the causal body to which buddhi has access to. The 3 channels of experience corresponding to these 3 centers are thought, perception, and feeling. So, what is the main function of the mind? Mind creates experience in line with these 3 centers or channels of thought, perception, and feeling, and safeguards the body from the environment. And the soul uses mind and body to know and feel God in relative terms. That's the whole game. Let me repeat this again. So what is the main function of the mind? Mind creates experience in line with the three centers or channels of thought, perception, and feeling, and safeguards the body from the environment. And the soul uses mind and body to know and feel God in relative terms. The part of Antakarana which has the sense of I am this and which feels itself to be a distinct, independent, separate entity is called ego, ahankara. Ego is a mixture of consciousness and body. Ego is the first thought, thought mixed with consciousness, that is aware of the rest of the thoughts at the same time. Ego is nothing more than a thought with me attached to it. Ego comprises of buddhi, lower mind or intellect, and memory. Manas interacts with the external world and takes in sensory impressions and data and processes that data. Manas questions and doubts. It is intellect. Intellect is the lower mind which builds up the logical chains. It is a merry-go-round. It is also the place for feelings or emotions. Some people call it the heart, the wisdom of which is intrinsic to you. Manas is a layer of mind, like you have an accumulation of vegetable manas, animal manas, as many different stages of evolution as you have passed. In Sanskrit texts, manas is defined as sankalpa vikalpatmikam manah. Reasoning, buddhi, is the ability to learn, to discriminate, and to make wise decisions. Buddhi is not intuition, but that exercise of thinking faculty which distinguishes between error and truth. Buddhi literally means that which distinguishes the ultimate reality from the rest. When such discrimination between truth and falsehood by the method of reasoning is confined to the empirical plane, it is called intellect or logic. But when extended to the philosophic plane, totality, it is reason. In Sanskrit texts, buddhi is defined as nischayatmakam. Nischayatmikam. Buddhi applied to only waking state is called logic, intellect. Buddhi applied to all states, waking, dream, and deep sleep, is called reasoning. Buddhi is known as the higher mind. It is mind with a direction. It is impersonal. Buddhi is sometimes described as a mirror that is able to reflect pure consciousness. If the mirror is dirty, it cannot reflect consciousness very well. So, if buddhi is clouded, then manas has a habit of continuing to question, seeking good instruction. Then it often listens to whatever is speaking the loudest, which is the wants, wishes, desires, attractions, and aversions stored in the memory bank. Buddhi is the judge. Intellect is the advocate arguing the case. Intellect or logic is based on waking state alone, whereas reasoning takes into account all three states. A state of strong emotions shrinks or clouds buddhi. If people ask why should reason arrogate the final appeal to itself, your use of the word why is sufficient proof that you are seeking a reason for your satisfaction. Thus, unconsciously, you make the reason the highest. Reasoning, buddhi, is a universal principle. People who translate the word buddhi is as intuition or intellect are wrong. Buddhi is the highest reason, that which discriminates between truth and falsehood. The memory bank, the storehouse, is basically the subconscious, unconscious mind and is known as chitta or chittam. Chittam is called the whole of mind. It is called Chittam because it is not part and parcel of the body, but part and parcel of consciousness. Consciousness in Sanskrit is called Chaitanyam, Chetana or Chit. Because Chitta is Chittam or Chittam, clings to Chetana, it is called Chittam. Chittam, memory, is the place where all streams of thoughts arise and recede back, which is called causal plane or Maya or universal ignorance. When mind simply moves about, rambles without any sense of direction, when it is unfocused, it is called Chitta. Brain is a biocomputer. The contents in the brain is conscious mind. The brain is only a container, and each life you get a new container. The old content is shifted as a layer surrounding your soul, causal body, or the seemingly enclosed awareness. All these layers form your memory. So, to reiterate, mind is identified by 4 different names depending on its 4 different functions. Again, these are not divisions, but different names for the same mind. Ego, higher intellect, lower intellect, and memory. Ego, higher intellect, lower intellect, and memory. In Sanskrit or in Vedantic lingo, Ahamkara, Buddhi, Manas, and Chittam. Let us now look at the mechanics or interactions of these 4 functions of the mind. Ahamkara is your sense of identity, sense of I-ness. There is nothing wrong in identifying yourself with the body-mind mechanism without a personal doership. But this wave of I-ness aligns itself or forms partnerships with the data or impressions in Chitta, causing them to be colored, and in turn with Manas, which then responds to the desires being sought by the seeming individuality. This Ahamkara has got 3 personalities: Jnata, Karta, and Bhokta, knower, doer, and experiencer. This knower, doer, and experiencer group is called the fake I. Once your Ahankara takes on a strong personal identity, meanness, your buddhi functions only in that context, around that axis, and becomes a slave to Ahamkara. This identity can be a race, a nation, a community, a religion, etc. It is important to function beyond this type of enslaved or lower buddhi. Thus, it is said that purifying buddhi is the most important task in the path of meditation and self-realization. Although buddhi is used as a tool for deepening experience in meditation, it was buddhi which carved up the universe in the first place, seeing division where there is unity. To discriminate between buddhi and pure consciousness is one of the final stages in the meditative or discriminative inquiry. Mind may be classified into 2 types: thinking mind and working mind. Thinking mind is conceptualizing mind, the me. What is absent after enlightenment is the thinking mind, the me distinguishing itself from the other. The conceptualizing thinking mind, the mind which draws upon memories and projects fears, hopes, and ambitions, that is absent. The working mind is what remains. Working mind is merely concerned with what is happening, with what it is doing. The thinking mind is what creates problems. The thinking mind works either in the past or in the future. The working mind is concerned with the present moment, now. The working mind may draw memory for its present work, but it does not project anything into future. It draws on the memory only to the extent of the job at hand. And that is the big difference. Consider an animal in danger. As soon as there is danger, the animal senses the danger and reacts to it. Once the danger is over, the animal mind does not think such a thing might arise in future. What evasive action should I now take? The danger is over and the matter is finished. This is working mind. In working mind, the identification with the body is there. It is absolutely necessary. If you are identified with your body, with the sense of personal doership, and think that you are the experiencer, that you are the doer, and then there is bondage, and the thinking mind gets involved. So, our seeking spiritual sadhana must be to go from a thinking mind to working mind, a knowing mind to a being mind. There are few common but important questions related to mind that need to be answered here to clear any misconceptions. 1. Is mind the same as brain? No. Mind is not the same as the brain. The brain is a physical, gross part of the body. Every child is born with a fresh brain, but not with a fresh conscious mind. What you call the mind is really an energy. It's a thought. And thought is an energy, not a gross object. Your brain is a gross object. Brain is a physical, biochemical mechanism, the largest, most sophisticated, but not the only mechanism in the human body with which the body translates or converts the energy, which is your thought, into physical impulses. Brain is a transformer, the seat of the mind. Can brain produce thought? That's the second question. Can brain produce thought? No. Brain is inert matter and can never produce thoughts which are subtler than itself. An effect such as brain is a grossified cause. An effect can never illumine its cause. Third question. Can brain or mind produce consciousness? No. Brain or mind can never produce consciousness. Brain or thought is experienced. It does not do experiencing. How could something which is perceiving like consciousness be made of that which is being perceived like brain or thought? How could something which is intermittent like brain or thought can give birth to eternity like consciousness? How could something which is changing like the mind and brain can produce a thing that is changeless like the unlimited consciousness? Fourth question. Why do thoughts arise? Thoughts arise because of ignorance, our false identification with a body-mind complex, our first thought or the root thought. The ego, the first thought, seems to exist only because we attend to other thoughts instead of to ourselves alone. And thoughts seem to exist only because we, as this ego, perceive them. Fifth question. How do thoughts arise? Thoughts arise because of the thinker. Thinker, ego, seems to create the thoughts simultaneously by perceiving them. It is not important, however, to know why or how thoughts arise. Simply investigate the I for whom these thoughts arise. 6. What is stillness of mind? Stillness is absolute silence. If you are aware of your silence, you are in stillness. 7. Can we control thoughts? Mind is no more than the series of thoughts. And if you try to stop thoughts, they will never be stopped because the very effort to stop it is itself a thought. The best way to control thoughts is to watch them. 8. Can mind know awareness? No. Only awareness knows awareness. Mind needs to be used to remove ignorant thoughts by enlightening our knowledgeable thoughts to reveal awareness. Is feeling a thought? A feeling is a wordless thought, a pure thought. Number 10. Is emotion a thought? Emotion is an amplified thought. 11. What is the difference between thought and beingness? Thought does, beingness is. Thought does, beingness is. So, be yourself knowingly. Thank you.